Hey, welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to tackle one of the most fundamental parts of English, how to make words plural. Now, it might sound basic, but honestly, getting these few rules down is one of the quickest ways to make your English sound way more natural. Let's jump in.
I think we all know the answer to this one, right? One book, two books. And this super simple example is pretty much the foundation for the number one rule we're about to get into.
So yeah, adding an S is easy for books, but you know English. It's always got a few tricks up its sleeve. But the good news is they're not random. They actually make a lot of sense once you see them laid out. All right, so let's dive into the big one, the main event. This is the rule you're going to use like 90% of the time. You can think of it as your default setting for making things plural. And I'm not kidding, that's really it. For most words you'll ever come across, you just stick an S right on the end. Done. And once you start looking for it, you see it absolutely everywhere, right? One car becomes two cars, one dog, three dogs. An apple turns into five apples. This is your go-to, your default.
Okay, so what happens when a word already ends in a sort of S sound? I mean, trying to just add another S is awkward. It doesn't really work. Fortunately, English has a really clever little fix for this. Just take the word bus. If you add an S, you get bus. It sounds exactly the same and it's clunky to say. To make it clear that we're talking about more than one, and just to make it easier to say out loud, we have to add a whole extra syllable. So the big takeaway here is to just listen. If you hear that hissing or buzzing sound at the end of a word, like S, sh, ch, x, or z, then you know it's not going to be a simple S. Instead, you add es. And you can really hear it in action here. Bus becomes bus-ease. Wish becomes wish-ease. Fox becomes fox-ease. You hear that little extra sound at the end? That's the magic. That's what makes it work. All right, so we've got our main rule and we've got the hissing rule. Now for the last big one. And this one is all about that tricky letter Y. The secret here isn't really the Y itself, but the letter that comes right before it. Okay, so it breaks down into two super simple scenarios. You just have to look at the letter that comes right before that Y. If it's a vowel, A, E, I, O, U, like in the word boy, you just add an S. Easy. Boys. But if it's a consonant, any other letter, like the B in baby, that's when you do the switcheroo. You change that Y to an I and add ES, so you get babies. Okay, so you've seen the three heavy hitters for regular plurals. Let's do a quick pop quiz just to make sure it's all sticking. You ready?
First up, church. What's the last sound you hear in that word? Think about that hissing roll. You got it. It's churches. That ch at the end is one of those hissing sounds, so it gets the ES. Nicely done. All right, what about this one? Puppy. Now remember, what's the all-important question you have to ask yourself with a Y word? What letter comes before it? Yep, the answer is puppies, because that P right before the Y is a consonant. So you do this swap, drop the Y, add IEs. See? Once you know the rule, it's like clockwork. Okay, final question. What about toy? It also ends in Y, but be careful, what's different here? Perfect, it's toys. Because the O is a vowel, we go back to that super simple rule and just add an S. It's that tiny difference that changes everything. Awesome job on the quiz. Okay, let's just do a super quick recap of what we've covered, and then we'll wrap things up. So really, when you boil it all down, it's just three things to remember. First, your default move is always to just add an S. But you gotta keep an ear out for those hissing sounds, because those need an ES. And finally, for any word ending in Y, just take a peek at the letter before it. That'll tell you everything you need to know. And that's pretty much the whole shebang for regular plurals. Get these down, and you've basically cracked the code for the vast majority of English nouns. It's a huge step. But you knew there was a but, right? English just loves to break its own rules. We've nailed the regular words, but then you've got these weird ones. I mean, why isn't the plural of person persons? Or what about mouse and mice? Well, that is a whole other can of worms and a story for another time. Thanks for joining me.